41 men, 41 failures, 10 free throws in a row. Nobody had done it, not once, not in 3 years of trying. $50,000, cash, counted twice, sealed in a clear bag, sitting on a folding table at center court, under a single hanging light, where everyone in the building could see it, and nobody could touch it. The challenge was simple math. 10 shots, 1 line. Miss once, you lose. No do-overs. No warm-up shots that counted for nothing. The first shot mattered as much as the 10th. 41 men had stepped to that line. Construction workers, former college guards, a man who once played overseas for 6 seasons, a father who bet his own paycheck in front of his kids. All of them missed. Most missed by the 4th shot. The record for furthest into the streak was 8. 8 makes, then a rim out that sounded, according to 3 different witnesses, like a gunshot in a library. The man who owned the gym had set the bet up himself. A promoter. A hustler with a good eye for a story. He called it the 10. No flash, no nickname, just the number that nobody could reach. And then there was the reason nobody could reach it. His name was Dale Renner, 7 feet even, 260 pounds. A rookie, technically, but built like he'd been drafted out of a quarry. He didn't shoot free throws during the 10. He guarded the line. That was the catch nobody mentioned until you were already standing there with the ball in your hands. Renner stood 8 feet from the shooter, arms out, wingspan of 7'6". He didn't block the shot outright. That would be too obvious, too easy to call. He did something worse. He moved at the exact moment of release. A half step, a hand raised a half-second early, a shadow that crossed the rim right as the ball left your fingers. 41 men had felt that shadow. 41 men had missed. Average time to the first miss, 4 shots. Fastest collapse, shot 2. A man who never recovered his rhythm after that. Longest survival, 8 makes, the construction worker, the only name anyone in that gym still remembered. His miss had rattled twice off the back rim and dropped, and the sound it made was the loudest thing the room heard all year. Renner's numbers told their own story. 112 challengers across 14 months, 0 losses. Average defeat delivered by shot 5. A reach radius of 9 feet when he extended fully, which meant nobody standing at that line had ever shot a single attempt without him inside. Arm's length of the ball. He didn't need to block anything. The shadow did the work for him. The gym smelled like rubber and chalk and the particular sweat of men who knew they were about to lose money. Folding chairs lined the walls, 3 deep. A single industrial fan turned slow circles near the ceiling, doing nothing against the heat. The hardwood had a long crack near half court that everyone stepped over without thinking about it anymore. 200 people, paid $5 each just to watch other men fail. That was the real business model. Nobody came to see the 10 get beaten. They came to see it survive. A scoreboard above the south basket tracked makes in a row. It had never read higher than 8. The gym held 206 chairs that night. Every one of them filled. $5 entry. 40 extra dollars collected from men who'd shown up without cash and borrowed it from strangers just to get through the door. The promoter had made more money on tickets in 14 months than the $50,000 sitting on that table represented, and he'd never once had to pay it out. This was the wall. This was the impossible. How does anyone beat that? 3 weeks earlier, 400 miles north, a phone rang in a kitchen in French Lick, Indiana. "You're not going to believe what I just watched," the voice on the other end said. His name was Carl Webb. He'd known Larry Bird since high school. He'd seen Larry do things with a basketball that should not have been possible, and he still called him every time he found something new to be impossible. Larry didn't say anything. He was eating cereal at the counter. He held the phone with his shoulder. "Guy's 7 foot 260, Carl said. "Stands 8 feet off the line. 41 guys tried, 41 missed. Best anybody's gotten is 8 makes out of 10. "What's he do?" Larry said. Not a question with much curiosity in it. Flat, like he was asking the temperature outside. "He moves right as you shoot. Hand up, step in. Throws off your rhythm before the ball's even in the air." Larry kept eating. 50 grand on the table, Carl said. Cash. Nobody's touched it. Silence on the line. 3 seconds. 4. "How far's he stand again?" Larry said. 8 feet. "Why?" "Where's he stand? Left side, right side, dead center." Carl paused. "Center, I think. Why does that matter?" "It matters. Larry said. That was it. One question about distance. One question about position. Nothing else. Carl waited for more and got nothing. The cereal bowl clinked once against the counter. You're not thinking about doing this, Carl said. I'm thinking about it. Larry, the man is 7 feet tall. You're 6'9" on a good day in good shoes. Height's not the problem. Then what is? There isn't one, Larry said. Not the way everybody's been playing it. Carl had known Larry long enough to recognize the tone. It wasn't confidence. Confidence was loud, even when it was quiet. This was something colder. This was a man who had already solved something and was simply waiting for the chance to show his work. You're gonna get embarrassed, Carl said. On camera, in front of 200 people. 41 guys before you, Larry. 41. Guys who could really shoot. I'm not trying to outshoot him, Larry said. Wrong contest. That's not exactly reassuring. Wasn't trying to reassure you, Larry said. I was answering your question. Carl sighed into the phone. He'd lost this argument before it started. He always did. When? Carl said. Saturday, Larry said. I'll be there. He hung up. He didn't ask what Renner looked like. He didn't ask what the floor was made of, what the rim height was, what the ball's pressure was. He'd already gotten the only piece of information that mattered to him, and everyone else watching this unfold would spend 3 more days assuming the puzzle was about strength, or height, or nerve. It wasn't. Larry already knew that. Nobody else did yet. Saturday night. The gym filled an hour before the first challenger walked up. Cigarette smoke drifted near the open back doors, where men gathered between attempts to talk about what they'd just watched fail. The overhead lights buzzed faintly, the kind of sound you stop hearing after the first 10 minutes and start hearing again the second something goes wrong. The announcer worked the floor with a cordless microphone, his voice bouncing off the cinder block walls. $50,000, he said, for maybe the 20th time that month. 10 makes in a row. One man standing between you and history. He gestured to the table. The bag of cash sat exactly where it always sat, untouched, lit from above like evidence at a trial. Dale Renner walked out from a side hallway to applause that had more fear in it than excitement. He didn't smile. He never smiled. He rolled his shoulders once, cracked his neck to one side, and took his position 8 feet from the free throw line, dead center, arms loose at his sides. He'd done this 112 times this year. He had lost 0. The first challenger that night was a former Division II forward, 6'6", strong hands, a clean stroke from 20 years of practice. He made his first 3 shots without trouble. Renner stood still, watching, measuring. On the 4th shot, Renner moved, a half step forward, a hand lifted at the exact moment of release. The ball clipped the back rim and bounced straight up, 6 feet in the air, and came down on the side of the basket support pad. 4 makes. Streak over. The challenger didn't argue. He'd seen the tape from other nights. He knew the math. The second challenger was bigger, 6'9", a man who'd played professionally in Lithuania for 4 years. He made it to 6 before the same half step, the same shadow, the same miss. The crowd's energy had a particular shape to it now. It started as noise and was narrowing, shot by shot, into something quieter, something closer to dread. 200 people leaning forward in metal chairs, waiting for the moment they already knew was coming. A third challenger, a police officer, off duty, who'd bet 2 weeks of pay to be standing there. He made it to 5. A fourth man tried, a heavy-set former linebacker who'd never played organized basketball past high school, brought there by friends who thought his size might matter against Renner's size. It didn't. 3 makes. The shadow didn't care how wide your shoulders were. It only cared where you were standing and when the ball left your hand. 4 challengers, 4 failures, 18 total makes between them, against a possible 40. The math sat above the floor like smoke that wouldn't clear. The scoreboard above the south basket still read 8, in faded red bulbs, like an old wound that hadn't healed. The announcer raised the microphone again. Last call, he said. Anybody else? Silence. 200 people who had paid $5 to watch other men lose, and not one of them wanted to be the next name added to the list. Renner rolled his shoulders again, waiting, patient. A man with 115 straight wins behind him now, and no reason to believe tonight would be any different. Picture it for a second. You're sitting in one of those folding chairs. You've watched 3 grown men walk up to that line and walk away beaten, one after another, in front of everyone they know. The money's right there. $50,000. Real and visible. 12 feet away from where you're sitting. And there's a man standing on that floor who has never lost. Would you stand up? Would you let your name get called and just stay seated? And let the moment pass you by? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you'd do in that exact chair, with that exact money sitting there. I'll try. 2 words, no raised hand, no walk to the microphone first. Just a voice from the 3rd row of chairs. Calm, almost bored, like someone agreeing to take out the trash. Heads turned. Larry Bird stood up. Laughter rippled through the gym. Not cruel, but close to it. Protective laughter. The kind of laughter that comes from people who've already seen this story end 3 times tonight and assume they're about to see it end a 4th. Carl grabbed his arm before he reached the aisle. Last chance, Carl said quietly. Walk away now and nobody remembers you tried. I didn't come here to be remembered, Larry said. He pulled his arm free, gently, and walked toward the floor. The walk took 11 seconds. It felt longer. 200 people watched a man in his street clothes. No warm-up jacket, no team colors, just a plain gray shirt and sneakers that had seen better years. Cross the hardwood toward a 7-foot wall that had already beaten 41 men this year. His shoes hit the floor with a flat, even sound. No hesitation in the steps. No rush either. He stopped at the free throw line. Renner stood 8 feet away, dead center, arms loose, watching him the way a man watches weather rolling in. With mild, professional interest, nothing more. The size difference was almost comedic up close. Renner's shoulders alone looked wider than Larry's whole frame. 6 inches in height, 60 pounds in weight. A reach advantage that, on paper, made this look less like a contest and more like an experiment in how fast a man could lose. The crowd noise had dropped to something just above silence. Somebody's chair creaked. It sounded enormous. The announcer handed Larry the ball. 10 in a row, he said. You know the rules. I know them, Larry said. He didn't bounce the ball first. He didn't set his feet the way the other 3 had. Squared up, dead center, staring straight at the rim. He shifted, almost lazily, 2 steps to his right. Not far, maybe 18 inches. Renner's eyes followed him. A small adjustment, almost nothing. Larry raised the ball. Shot 1. Clean release, no movement from Renner at all. The half step never came, because Larry wasn't dead center anymore. And the shadow that had ended 41 careers required a straight line that no longer existed. Make. The crowd murmured. A small sound. Confused, not impressed yet. Shot 2. Same spot. Same release. Renner adjusted his angle slightly, tracking the new position. 0.2 of a second slower than his usual half-step. A gap that hadn't existed for 112 challengers, suddenly visible to anyone watching closely enough. Make. The murmurs grew. Something was different and nobody could name it yet. Shot 3. Larry shifted again. This time barely 6 inches. Just enough to break whatever rhythm Renner had built up watching the first 2. Renner's half-step came a fraction late. The shadow crossed the rim after the ball was already in flight. Make. The gym had gone fully quiet now. 200 people sitting in a silence that had weight to it. Shot 4. 5. 6. Each one from a slightly different angle, slightly different rhythm, never giving Renner the same picture twice. The big man's footwork, which had looked unbeatable an hour ago against 3 other challengers, now looked like a man trying to predict a coin flip that kept changing its own rules. Make. 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 The scoreboard ticked past 6, past 7. Shot 7 hung at the rim for a half second. The kind of half second the whole gym felt in their chests and dropped through. 8 makes. The old number on the board. The number nobody had ever passed. Renner's jaw tightened. For the first time all night, he leaned forward before the shot instead of waiting for it. He was no longer measuring Larry. He was guessing. This is the part that matters. Every challenger before tonight had tried to beat Renner with the shot itself. Better mechanics, stronger hands, more confidence. Option A. Some tried to ignore him entirely, pretend he wasn't there. Option B. A few had tried to outstare him, win some psychological game before the ball ever left their hands. Option C. None of it worked, because none of it changed the geometry of the shadow. Larry chose option D, the option that doesn't exist on the scouting report. He didn't fight the shadow. He moved the line that created it. A 7-foot wall built to defeat a fixed point is no wall at all against a moving one. Shot 8. Make. 9 challengers worth of silence sat inside that gym now, all of it pointed at one man. Shot 9. Larry shifted his feet one final time, the smallest movement yet, barely visible from the bleachers. Renner's whole body leaned with him, fully committed now, fully exposed. The ball left Larry's hands in a flat, quiet arc. Make. 9 in a row. One shot from history. One shot from $50,000 sitting under that single hanging light. The gym had stopped breathing. There's a particular feeling that comes with standing completely alone in a room full of people who all expect you to fail. Most of us know it from somewhere. A job interview nobody thought we'd get. A decision everybody told us was a mistake. A moment where the only person who believed it was possible was the one standing in the middle of it. Larry was standing in that exact kind of silence right now. The only person in that building who understood what was actually happening. Surrounded by 200 people who still didn't see it. If you've ever known that feeling, of seeing something nobody else around you could see yet, that's part of why this channel exists. A place for people who understand that kind of quiet, and the stories that come out of it. If that's you, consider subscribing. Not for me, for this. Shot 10. Larry didn't shift this time. He stood dead center, the exact spot that had ended 41 careers, 8 feet from a 7-foot wall that had never lost. The whole gym understood, in that instant, what he was doing. He didn't need the angle anymore. He'd already proven the wall could be moved. Standing center now wasn't recklessness. It was the final word in the argument. He could beat the trick the easy way, from anywhere, or he could beat it the hard way, from the exact spot where it was designed to work, just to make sure nobody could ever say there'd been a trick to it at all. Renner set himself dead center too, arms loose, watching. This was his shot to take back the night, and both men on that floor knew it. The ball left Larry's hands. Renner's half-step came. His hand rose. The shadow crossed the rim at the exact moment it always had, the exact moment that had broken 41 men before tonight. The ball arced through it anyway. It dropped through the net with no rattle, no spin off the rim. Straight through, the kind of make that sounds less like a shot and more like a door closing. 10. For one full second, nobody in that gym made a sound. Then it broke all at once. Chairs scraping, voices rising on top of each other. Someone near the back doors letting out a sound that wasn't quite a word. The scoreboard above the south basket flickered, then changed. The 8 that had sat there for 3 years became a 10, in the same tired red bulbs. Like the number itself didn't fully believe what it was being asked to display. The bag of cash sat exactly where it had sat all night. $50,000, untouched, waiting. Larry could have walked straight to that table. Nobody would have blamed him. He'd earned every dollar of it under rules everyone in the building had agreed to. He didn't walk toward it. He turned, instead, and walked back toward his folding chair. The same flat, even steps he'd used to walk out. He passed within 4 feet of the table. He didn't look at it. That was the moment. Not the 10th make, this. The walk past the money he never reached for. He could have taken it. He chose not to need it. The applause took almost a full minute to settle into something that sounded like normal noise again. Renner stood at the free throw line a moment longer than he needed to, looking at the spot where the ball had gone through 10 times, like he was trying to find the trick in it and couldn't. Carl met Larry at the edge of the floor. He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at him. "You moved the line," Carl finally said. "That's it? That's the whole thing?" "He built his whole game off one fixed point," Larry said. "Take away the point, you take away the game. And the last shot? You stood center on purpose." "Had to," Larry said. "Otherwise somebody says it was a gimmick. Wasn't a gimmick. Was geometry. You didn't even take the money. Wasn't there for the money." Carl shook his head. Half a laugh in it. The kind of laugh that comes after relief instead of before it. "Then why?" Larry looked back once at the table, the bag still sitting under that single light, untouched, exactly the way it had sat all night. 41 men walked up to that line thinking the wall was him, Larry said. Wall wasn't him. Wall was the idea that there was only one way to stand. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. What happened in that gym wasn't really about a 7-foot man, or a free throw line, or $50,000 sitting under a light. It was about a problem that 200 people had decided was unsolvable simply because nobody had solved it yet. 41 men had tried to win a fight that was never about strength to begin with. Larry saw the actual shape of the problem before he ever touched the ball. The same way he'd see a double team forming 3 seconds before it arrived. The same way he'd find the open man on the floor before that man even knew he was open. This wasn't a basketball move, it was a basketball mind, applied to a question everyone else had been asking wrong. Renner would go on to defend that line for another 11 months after that night, against another 60-some challengers, and he would lose exactly once. The number 10 would sit on that scoreboard, unbeaten a second time, for the rest of the year. Nobody who watched it happen ever forgot the 18 inches Larry moved on the very first shot, the smallest distance in the building, and the only one that mattered. If you're still here, that means something. It means you're the kind of person who sticks around for the part of the story that isn't loud. The walk past the money, the quiet answer to a quiet question. The proof, instead of the celebration. That matters more than people give it credit for. There's something worth carrying out of this one. The hardest walls usually aren't the ones in front of you. They're the ones in your own head, about how many ways there are to solve a problem. If this story meant something to you, leave a like so it finds the people who need it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and stick around. Because there's another night, another gym, another impossible number on a different scoreboard, and Larry Bird hadn't even gotten started. Some walls get broken with force. This one got broken by a man who simply refused to stand where everyone expected him to stand.